Okay, so here we've got a group of developers are creating a new social networking site for science students that will allow users worldwide to discuss current topics and post messages to each other. The site will be available over the internet. And it says, discuss the ethical, legal and cultural issues that the developers will face when setting up and running the service. Okay, so there are a couple of things here. We're just going to go through a plan and then we'll write an answer. And it's important not to get distracted here. There's lots of things to get distracted by, but the question is very clear. The question wants us to talk about three things. Ethical issues. It wants us to talk about legal issues. And it wants us to talk about cultural issues. Okay, so there's three very clear things that we have got to talk about, and these are related to the developers. Okay, so developers are programmers, people who are making this software, not necessarily the people who are using it. Okay, so the developers will face when setting up and running the service. So they've got to think about this. So they're going to make a program which can be accessed anywhere in the world, and they can discuss current topics. It says science students, so we're presuming it's about science, and they've got a post message deck and post messages to each other. So we've got some ethical issues here, some legal issues and some cultural issues. Now, what do we need to think about when we're writing about these things? Now, the first thing to think is there's 9 marks. So we're going to assume that there's going to be 3 marks for this, 3 marks for this, 3 marks for this. Now, there are always more marks available than you can get. Okay, so there might be, in the mark scheme, it might say there's a maximum for each one. In this type of question, possibly not. Okay, but we'll have a look at the mark scheme in a minute. But if we're trying to tackle this question, how would we go about it? And that's what we're looking at here. So, if it was me, I've got 9 marks, so I've got a bit of time here. So I need to think about, what do I mean by ethical issues? What do I mean by legal issues? What do I mean by cultural issues? So in terms of this, if I was programming this, one of the things I would need to be careful of here, it's a social networking site. I might need to think about some sort of age limit. How will I know that the people using the site are of the right age? Okay, so it says science students. So it's one of the things I need to consider. The other thing I need to consider is, well, let's say maybe they're younger students. Okay, are they going to be acting appropriately? Okay. Is it appropriate? Is it age appropriate? I need to think about that. That also comes into legal. Okay? How do I make sure that my site is not breaking any laws to do with appropriate behaviour towards children or towards young students or under 18? So I might need to think about that as well. The other thing I would need to think about is what can be posted. Okay? So as well as appropriate, I'm looking at content, okay, and then again that overlaps into legal. Okay, what's legal content? This might be different in different countries. It says worldwide. So if I'm posting something in China as opposed to posting something in here, there might be different cultural ways of saying things. There might be different cultural ways of actually, well, I know in China you can't access everything, and things are really locked down, so you can't use the internet as we would use the internet. So I can see my answers brewing there. Okay, so I'm thinking about the age, the appropriateness of what they're doing, the content. How do I know that the messages, the topics are actually going to be linked to science? Okay, so I might need to think about that. How do I ensure that? The only one way I might need to think about it is there going to be a moderator? So if somebody posts something, will it need to go through some sort of moderation before it actually gets posted. Okay, to take into account all these things. So as a programmer, I can't just set up the system. I need to think about, okay, somebody posts a message, does somebody need to vet that message? Okay, now this is where the question's going. So that's what I need to be thinking about. So I would probably start with looking at students. Okay, so who are the users? Okay, and then I might think about the age, what's going to be appropriate for those users. For those age of users, I might want to look at, again into that, I'll look at content, and I will look at cultural within that as well, and I might look at the issue of, then I'll talk about moderation. Okay, so there's my rough plan, so I can probably start writing now and think very logically about it.